Welcome everyone to episode 28 of the Aussie Tech Security. We're joined by Roger Smith and I'm Glenn Goodman. Roger, look, if you haven't heard of Roger, he is the #1 selling author on Amazon with a publication called Cybercrime. He's author of the Digital Security Toolbox, author of the SME Digital Security Framework. Wow. I know. And he's also a speaker, a teacher, and an educator and author on cybercrime and how to protect yourself. So if you're going to listen to anyone, you better listen to Roger. So, and let's introduce him. How you doing, Roger?
Thanks. Wow. I just became 6 foot tall. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, look, you know a lot, so you deserve it. It's great. You can contact Roger, as always, on the Twitter at SME Security or go to his website for more contact information at rniconsulting.com.au. That's R for Roger, N for Nelly, I for Igloo, consulting.com.au. And you can contact me on the Twitter at Glenn Goodman or at Aussie Tech Heads. And don't forget the athwebhosting.com.au with web hosting, cheap, affordable, I shouldn't say cheap, but affordable plans anyway. Fast SSD drives, servers located in the Asia Pacific to service the region with as low latency as possible. Okay, so this episode, look, I think over the past weeks or so, we've seen more ransomware come out, the Petya worm or ransomware, whatever you want to call it.
But it's not a ransomware. Okay, one thing you've got to remember, this is not a ransomware. It appears like a ransomware, but it is designed actually to screw over computers. That's all it's designed to do.
But however, it does ask for money though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the money part of it is a foil to get people to actually sit there and look at it while other things are happening in the background. It has two components. One is the splash screen that comes up and displays on the computer that's been infected. It will then reboot the computer. The moment it reboots the computer, it kills the MBR.
Right.
So master boot record, very important, makes the whole computer work. So if it kills that, you literally have not only encrypted data on your hard drive, but you have no way of getting at it at all. So,
but you can, so that these little master boot record repairs or creators, they just not going to help you?
Well, they could do, but I don't think anybody's got into that depth at the moment. The actual attack mechanism that this is actually shown has really been very intricate. It's a lot more intricate than most attack systems have come through. When it first discovered, yes, they thought it was ransomware. A couple of people paid for the key to come in, but they didn't get the key. So, in other words, this is being run by very nasty people at the back end as well.
Yeah. So they were after they're saying they're after $300 in Bitcoin or something. Yep. But anyway, that's no good. But look, before we get too far into that, I just wanted to also let you guys know that if you listen towards or somewhere in the middle of the show, Roger is doing a seminar, a business security intensive seminar. Yes. Would you call it a seminar? Is that what it is?
No, it's 4 hours of learn this stuff because it's really, really important.
Yes.
It's just come to my notice that the more that these things are happening, the more we need some help at the small and medium business level. We're not going to get it from the big players because they really don't give it stuff about the small mum and pop organisations. And this is something that you really need to start initiating more internally than externally anyway.
Yeah. And so the Business Security Intensive, it's in Canberra on the 24th of July.
Yep.
So how do we contact you for more?
If you want to send me an email, it's $299 if you go to Eventbrite. Yep. But if you drop me an email, I'll send you a ticket for free.
Cool. There you go. How's that? Is that how many? First one? First two?
First come in, first serve. There's 20 free tickets available. So.
Oh, there you go, guys. You heard it first right here. So hopefully you are listening to the podcast. Pretty soon after its release. So if you're an owner of business and you want some security intensive instruction, make sure you see that. It's you're going to cover the NIST framework and tell us how to become secure mature.
Yes, mature secure.
Yeah, okay.
Secure mature people. Yeah, the idea is to actually take it to the next level. So give people the tools to actually be able to protect themselves and understand why they are protecting themselves. Yeah. I got a phone call from a client recently who had their voice over IP system hacked, and they got a voice over IP bill of $15,000. And he said, well, why did they target that? And I said, because they can. It's open to the internet. If the security is not around it properly, then it doesn't matter what systems are in place, because the ports are literally open. They have to be open to actually allow voice over IP to work. So it really becomes down to having either expensive equipment on the interface, or you have people who are writing the right code to make sure it is secure in that respect.
Is it just like this? Say, just it's coincidence, or does it seem that there's more and more now that ransomware's become popular? Is it more and more and more?
A lot of the problems are because we've got, I don't know if I've explained it ever to you. We've got 3 layers of hackers, and the most dangerous one are what we call the script kiddies. Now, the script kiddies are the 14 to 22-year-olds who are interested in breaking something and seeing if they can break it. Now, those are the people who go on to become the hacktivists and the true hackers. But those are the people who are using automated systems that are produced by the hackers, because they can put it on Kali, they can put it on their home computer, and nobody actually knows it's running. So it makes it a very viable component for some of the up-and-coming hackers to be.
Yeah.
Because it just goes out and targets the internet. It doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter how you're connected to it. If you have a device that has a connection to the digital world, you are a target through those people. And this is one of the things that we are constantly trying to tell people, game consoles, voice over IP systems,
well, I suppose, that's
cloud-based systems. All of these are targets because of what they are, not what people own.
Because you raise an interesting point there, something that I probably never really thought of too much before, is like, because I've raced around, my home office and everything. I've updated all the Windows 10 computers, updated the Macs as far as they could go, updated everything as far as they could go, but I've never thought about, there's an Xbox sitting off the network, there's a couple of little Linux Raspberry Pis sitting off the network.
Yes.
Like, what do you do with that? How do you protect, say, an Xbox? Is that something? Well, you just got to keep the updates current.
Yeah, again, whenever you play a game on Xbox now, Xbox, even on PlayStation, there's a automatic process that they actually check the main system to find out if there is any updates for that game, and also any updates for the system itself.
Right. Well, I guess you could even get to a situation where, say, a game is hacked, and the game authors wouldn't know about it, and so there's no updates, and it's just all streaming through.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's those zero-day compromises are very likely. The more people become, you've got to also remember that if it's a little-known system, then they're not going to try and hack it, because it's not worth their money to actually do it. Now, the automated system that uses something like Metasploit, for instance, there are 17,000 exploits in the whole system, and they're being added to every day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If someone finds an exploit that hasn't been patched, they then upload it to the Metasploit system. That downloads it because they patch their system. So they get the newest attack system, and they can then go out and go, I'm looking for Adobe that does this, or this version of Adobe, or this version of a voice over IP system, or this version of the game box system.
Yeah.
All of those mean they are being targeted, and this is literally how the bad guys are working, and the script kiddies at that level as well.
So can we get to a stage, you think, where like the computers can be self-aware, so especially with ransomware, that they're starting this encryption process? Like, if they think, can't they be self-aware, say, oh, well, I've got something being encrypted over here?
Yes.
Flash up a thing. Are you sure you're encrypting this? Is this what you want?
Yes. We've actually developed a script, a PowerShell script that will run on Windows 7, 10, and 8, and also on Windows servers, that actually looks at all the files in a system. And after 2 files have had their names changed simultaneously, it will actually drop it off the network.
Right.
So it literally disconnects it, so you've only got those 2 files to worry about, because they're no longer, and in most cases, we can then restart the computer and do something about it as well.
Right. So this is available if you're a client of yours, is that right?
Yes. Yeah, we put it on all of our systems.
Oh, okay. And it's an in-house script, is it?
Yeah, it's an in-house script. It's a PowerShell script. we downloaded it from GitHub. We then manipulated it to do what we wanted to do. But, all of this stuff is available, but just don't download something from GitHub and use it straight away because you don't know what it is. And you really need to know your how systems work so that you can then apply that to your whatever you want to do with it.
So there's obviously like a lot of businesses and people out there that just going, it's not going to happen to me, because like you look after the WannaCry virus or ransomware worm, whatever you want to call it, went around the place. Everyone's up in arms, and this is bad. That world's fallen in. But no one, obviously, a lot of people failed to update their computers because
That's
now
right.
the patcher has come back.
Yeah,
And
it's all done through social engineering, and this is the other thing we constantly forget. The social engineering component that got WannaCry to work
yeah,
is probably different from the social engineering component that's actually on the new one. Now, if they are different, you are going to get different people who are going to actually get manipulated. So if you patch the hole that these two systems were targeting, then it wouldn't matter who got manipulated. When you click on the link, it doesn't have an impact on your system. But that's how people are thinking. As you said, we have nothing worth stealing. We're too small to be a target. I've got a litany of about 10 of them. Every one of them I literally hear it and say, no, actually, there's nobody who's too small to be a target, because you always have something that someone wants, whether it's a credit card details, whether it's the overall creds of some of your staff or your clients. All of this information is absolutely gold to them.
Yes.
And even if they get your database of 100 clients, they've now got the ability to sell that on the dark web and make $20 or $30 a client. Now, that's already made them money.
Yeah.
Okay. Their next problem is the people who bought that information is now going to use it nefariously and do something else with it.
Yes. So I think, look, if you guys can get down to the security workshop,
security intensive.
business security intensive that Roger's running, tax deductible, I assume.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So get down. It's going to be, what is it, 4 hours of just intense.
4 hours introduction, then we go through the 5 sections of NIST, and then we have a conclusion at the end of it.
All right.
We're not going to cover every component of NIST, of each area. We've actually specifically taken out a target area. So, in other words, we're looking at recovery and backup, and we're looking at education in detection and that type of thing. Yeah, some of the fields are huge. Like there's 70 questions. Well, there's 98 questions across the whole of the NIST framework.
Yeah.
And the idea is you answer each of those questions either between 0 and 4. And then you take all of them, divide whatever you've made by, and you have a NIST rating, which is actually anywhere between 0 and 4, which is good, because if you then look at it and go, well, I've got 0.5, our target is somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5. So we have to put systems in place. We have to purchase stuff. But it's all slow.
Yes.
It's a slow build up to doing the job. So you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars. You can literally tweak it around the edges. And then when you've got money to go out and put a second generation firewall in, you can then tweak the rest of the system around it. So each one of those then becomes something that automatically tightens up the security around the organisation.
All right, so get yourselves down there in Canberra. I'm sure there's a lot of fine hotels to put you up down there. Send Roger an email if you want one of those 20 first in best dress free tickets. And where the email, you can probably give him a Twitter at SME Security.
Yeah, that'll do. Or send me an email personally at roger@rogersmith.com.au.
There you go, a vanity URL and everything. Very nice. Yeah. Very nice.
I got an email that says, this is free. Okay.
Sweet. All right. So, make sure you got the dates available and you can attend and get yourself down there. Now, look, we just want to go with the Australian Signals Directorate top 4.
Okay, yes. One of the things that the Australian Signals Directorate have been putting out for a while now is a top 4 or a program that you need to deploy to actually protect infrastructure. Now, it started off with protecting the big infrastructure, so power stations and all that sort of stuff, but it actually can be deployed down all the way down to small business, medium businesses. Now, there's 4 of them that are really important. One of them you're probably never going to use because it is a labor-intensive system, and that's called whitelisting. Now, whitelisting is where you have a computer that only will run the applications that you have installed. So in other words, it will only run Word, it will only run Excel, it will only run Chrome, it'll only run Outlook. But the problem with that is whenever you call something like Chrome, it wants to run all the other little apps in the background that renders a website.
Yes.
So it gets really, really intensive. If you're a big government department, whitelisting is important because you don't particularly want all that crap coming into the system. So they do stop it and they give a warning about it. But in small, medium business, becomes a huge problem because people then get cranky because the games on the side of Facebook don't work and all that sort of stuff. So you don't want that. Yeah. Farm bill's really important. Why? We haven't worked that out yet. But that's one of the only things about the 4 points that are really important. The other one, and the major one, is patching. It has to be done, and I think in the last 2 months we've shown how really important patching is as a protective process to make sure all the systems are secure. But it's not only just patching the operating system; it's patching the applications. When that patch for Java comes up in the bottom right-hand corner and says you need a patch, you need to update, and most people go, yeah,
that's right. What is this?
Yeah, sorry, but you have to do it. But you also have to do everything else: websites, WordPress. Everything, infrastructure, Linux, all of these things are that the patch process is someone's found a hole or a vulnerability. They've found that someone is actually exploiting that vulnerability in the wild. The people who designed that system have now got to the stage where, okay, we know what they're targeting, as in SMB with WannaCry, and we're now removing it from the system. So either removing it or putting in a new secure version of the system because it's still needed.
Why don't things like Java have an option that it can just automatically update? Like,
okay.
Well, say you can tick it off or on. I know about maybe it'll break things, so you want to make sure and test it. But just for the normal you and me and people listening, or just normal Joes, in the neighbourhood.
Yeah, normal Joes. Yes, I agree. The trouble is, Java is very, very. What's the word? Pedantic is probably the best way of looking at it. Some applications will work on Java 3.1, but they won't work on 3.2. Now, we've got a number of applications we've come across where if you update it, then the moment you update it, the application that uses Java to actually work suddenly stops working. So you have to roll it back and you have to stuff around with a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Now, that's because of the actual nature of Java. The nature of Java means that because of the way the language is actually set up, the moment you start changing things in the language, then you've got problems.
Yeah.
And this is where a lot of the problems with Java come from, because they're all most of the attacks on Java are buffer overflow attacks or attacks that actually are designed to get past the system. So giving it too much information when it doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Now, it's very important that people understand that if you get that little box in the bottom right-hand corner that says Java needs to update, if you're not running an application, and most times if the applications are being used, the people who install the application will actually turn Java off.
Right.
We just did a medical rollout at a client's place recently, and theirs only works on the newest version. So we literally have to turn off the updates. Right. So me being an IT person with security background, it's not a good plan, because you don't know what is going to target that Java version of Java.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. The other things are with ASD is passwords. As I think everybody knows that password is not a good password.
Even if you spell it with a 0 instead of the O.
Yeah, well, that's right. Good. It really is a case of getting the right password combinations and actually being able to actually put them across everything you do on the digital world, and that is probably the biggest challenge we've all got.
Yes.
Yeah, we visit 4,000 sites. We need a password for every one of those sites. How do we do it without causing a problem, and what do we need to do to protect ourselves?
So, what are you a fan of these password keepers like LastPass?
I'm a fan of password keepers because of what we do. We keep all of our clients' passwords in a password keeper, because if we need to access a site and we're not quite sure, we can't remember, then we need something to remember it. And we don't particularly want to write it down and put it as a digital record somewhere. So we use that, but we have a process for creating a password, a complex password that's easy to remember. So.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, as you said, you've spoke about it before. A password doesn't have to be just a collection of unpronounceable letters and numbers. It can be like a sentence.
Yeah, it could be a sentence. It could be a clause. It can be a phrase. It could be a reference to something. It could be two things on your desk with a number in between and a space. As long as you know how you're creating them, then you have a good like, for instance, cup, glass case, 32, and I'm going to Facebook, so it's going to be face at the end of it.
Yes.
So I know that that's going to be how I'm going to get into Facebook, or I'm going to get to LinkedIn or go to the bank and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. So with when you're just as a quickie, when you're creating these passwords, if you're going to use a phrase or whatever, passwords any good with spaces, or you'd let the spaces go?
Spaces are highly recommended. Okay. Nobody else seems to be doing this, but I recommend it. It doesn't matter what password you're creating. If the password field can handle a space, put a space in. Now, the reason why that is the moment some of the brute force hacking tools hit a space in a password, they stop functioning properly.
Right.
So if you get it comes down to the ASCII code that it's actually targeting. Now, ASCII code, everything on the keyboard is one code for each thing. So a capital A, character. A little a has a character.
Yes.
A space has 3 characters.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So what happens is it gets to the space and goes, "What the frick is that?" And literally stops working. And we've actually proved this with some of the high-end attack weapons that are used on Wi-Fi and ARP poisoning and things like that.
Right.
If you've got a password with a space in it, then those systems stop working.
Right,
now, that, to me, is a really good way of protecting yourself.
Yes, yeah. Well, I suppose we'll all start using spaces, and then they'll get there's something will come in to negate that. But
that's right. But if you think about it, they're really more worried about the sheep who are out there, and what we're trying to do is stop people being the sheep.
So I guess if you got a little sentence that you like, you could use that little sentence on everything.
Yes,
and then you only have to remember one sentence.
Yes, and you can actually write that sentence on the wall and nobody would know what it was.
No, that's right.
Yeah, and also the actual process of sitting there and going, okay, I've written a sentence down. I'm going to take the first character, second character, third character, last character, whatever you want to do, and put it into the next part of that. So I play golf every Saturday afternoon type stuff. Okay, all of those go into now an 8-character word.
Yeah.
You then manipulate it. You make the I a capital, or you make it a 1. You put a space in there. So it's now 9 characters. Now, if I want to go to Facebook, it's 9 characters in Facebook, and it's 9 characters in LinkedIn, or just linked. Or you have a standard for the next one. So Bank ANZ or Bank Commonwealth,
whatever.
Just Commonwealth.
So sorry, I was just going to go back to the Windows updates and so forth. I was just going to ask, do you think because Windows updates automatically, so these people and businesses that are getting smashed by now the Petrovirus, are you saying that these businesses don't even do the regular Windows updates? They turn them off?
Yes, right. Totally. We've come across new clients who have been around for who have had computer systems, and we actually came across one. Probably it would have been about 8 weeks ago, and one of their computers hadn't been updated since it had been installed, and it had Windows 7 on it, and there was 198 updates to apply.
Yeah. Yes. I've seen a few like that.
Yeah, and that literally means that anything that comes out in the last 5 years would have been able to target that machine.
Yeah, because I got a laptop there. You probably just see it closed behind me on the shelf there.
Oh yeah.
It's got XP on it, and I was starting to do a few things on it, and I couldn't do it. And he goes, "Oh, you need Service Pack 3," and it was just the original XP. So I had to put Service Pack 3 onto it before I could really do anything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also all of the viruses that have been written in the last 5 years target these vulnerabilities that are in the operating systems. So even though you've got antivirus in there, if the antivirus even if the antivirus is up to date and it's a virus comes in that's targeting these vulnerabilities, it can still activate and still run.
So when that's interesting. Yeah, just a point on antivirus and keeping that up to date. It's not just the the daily updates that need to be up to date. It's the actual version of the antivirus. So there's two things. Yeah,
two. And there's two things you need to do when you're using it. Antivirus is designed so that when anything you go to, and if it downloads a script or anything onto your hard drive, will actually pick up the writing of the information onto the hard drive. So that's very important. But the other thing about antivirus is as you go forward and you update and you run a monthly scan or a 6-weekly scan or whatever, when you run that scan and it scans everything that's on your computer, if it finds a virus that it didn't have the signature for before, it will then pick that up. Yes. You can then clean it, then you can do something about it. Now, we've had viruses that have been picked up by a scan that have been on the system for 6 to 8 months.
Yes.
Because nobody realized that was a problem. Now, if those viruses are there, they have the capability of actually them being used and to target a vulnerability that's in the system.
Yeah. I think another show, maybe next episode, a topic we could do is rootkits, because I'm not really sure what a rootkit does.
Yeah, rootkits are one of the worst things that you can actually get on a computer, because the only thing you can actually do is replace the hard drive.
All right. Well, let's put that down for a topic for another time, because I'll be interested in that one. Okay. So keep everything up to date. Now, just with that, as I start talking about that XP machine over there. Now, please tell me I'm doing the right thing here. When I plug that machine into my network,
yes,
it's actually running on a different LAN address.
Yes.
So instead of say my network at home here is say 192.168.0.1. That one I plug it into, I've set up as say 1.0 or 1.1 or something. So as long as I change that, I'm doing the right thing.
Yes, right, that means that it can't see the rest of the network.
That's right.
And any information is literally going to go from the router that you put on place that is separating it to the internet going through. It doesn't go through your system to get to it.
So even though it goes through the same gateway, that's okay?
Same gateway is not a problem. It's on a totally different network.
Right.
High-end penetration testers and bad guys could probably get around it, but they would need to have access to the system and use it as a pivot to get into the other system.
Right.
So, when it comes to actual physically hacking a system, it is a bit different. There really is two different levels of hacks that come about. One is you use an automated system, you create all the malware, you send that out, and you do all the right things and everything else. Or you use a hacker uses a specific tool set to actually exploit systems that you don't have access to or you don't know have a vulnerability. Now they usually do that through things like ports, and they target whatever's on the other end of a port. Right. So in other words, if they're targeting a mail server on port 25, there's not much you can do about it except by updating the actual software that runs the mail server itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because if I have a way of getting in there and I can target it, then I can actually then exploit it to a level where I can gain access to the system.
Yeah, okay. So obviously the best case scenario is update everything as soon as the update comes out.
Yes.
Worst case is obviously not do it, but say maybe busy real world time within a week or 2 weeks. I guess it depends on the severity, doesn't it?
We work on the principle. That if an update comes in, give yourself 30 days to put it on.
Right.
Okay, so within that 30-day period is a good time. If you go over that 30-day period, then you probably have a bigger problem at that level anyway, because you can be targeted. If you go over 2 or 3 months, then you are making yourself very vulnerable. But if you think about it, updates nowadays are, you see the update bar come up. It reminds you just before you turn the computer off, and it comes up and says, restart, update and restart, or update and shut down.
Yeah.
Hit that button, walk away.
That's right.
It's not that freaking hard.
Go and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
Walk away. All right, good stuff. All right, well, that brings us to the end of another episode. I hope you guys got something out of that. I certainly did. So don't forget Roger's seminar on the 24th of July. If you need a free ticket, make sure you email him immediately.
Yes.
Immediately. Tax deductible, and I'm sure you won't come away empty-brained.
You come away with a workbook.
Yeah,
and
good.
a USB key.
Oh, there you go. With no viruses.
No.
All right, good stuff.
Not that bad.
No. All right, cool. So, good stuff. Thanks for joining us, Roger. Once again, it's been a pleasure. And we hope to see you again soon.
Yes.
All
guaranteed.
right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Glenn.
We'll see you again next time. Okay, cheers for now. Update. Bye-bye.
Yes.